Last Sunday, that is 21st of May, we had to cut short our discourse because of our failure after half an hour. We continue the subject this Sunday, today evening. The 7th chapter, the glory of God as manifested in the universe. That's the theme in the few verses here. 8, 9, 10, all these verses belong to this category. We were studying these verses. In the 8th verse, there is this beautiful idea. We studied it already. Rasohamapsa kaunteya. God is not only transcendent, but also immanent. He is present in everything in nature. I discussed this subject earlier. So these few verses, and again in the 10th chapter, Krishna will be giving this idea. Everything is divine. Every particle of dust carries within it the spark of divinity. Only the dust doesn't know it. It will not know till it evolves into this human system. Then this human being can realize this truth. That's the Vedantic way of putting it. And so, rasohamapsu kauteya, and the rasa in water, the taste that is in water. Similarly, prabhasmi shashasudiyoho, in sun and moon, and that brilliance, that light that shines. Pranos sarva vedeshu, and om in all the Vedas, pranava, omkara, and shabda ke, and sound in akasha, in space, and paurusham nrunu, among all human beings, and that spirit of strength, manliness, whether man or woman, wherever there is strength and courage, they call it paurusham. The word purusha is not exactly masculine in that sense. It is that capacity to face up to challenges, not afraid, not running away. That's called paurusham nrunu. In fact, it is one of the greatest qualities of Greco-Roman culture and of modern Western culture. It was a quality of our culture over 1,000 years ago, for nearly the first 3,000 years. All difficulties we will overcome. We have two great mythical figures which represent the spirit. One is our own famous Rishi who brought Ganges from the heaven to the earth. That is a wonderful power. The second is the great mythical hero of Greece who brought fire from the heaven to the earth to help people. That is a wonderful achievement. Promethean spark, they call it, Prometheus. It's a wonderful quality. So in a human being, when you find that quality, tremendous difficulties you face, you overcome, and until you get your work is done, you continue to struggle. That's called paurusham. This is a great aspect of culture. We have achieved great things only because of that. So Krishna says, wherever there is paurusham in human beings, I am there. I am present there. Paurusham nrunu, he says, nushu. Then, punyogantha prathibhyancha, I am the holy and pure smell, which is based on the earth, in earth. So also, tejasyasmi vibhavasau. In fire, there is that brilliance, I am the tejas. Jivanam sarvabhuteshu. In all living beings, that principle of intelligence, principle of life is myself. And tapasyasmi tapasvishu. Those who perform austerities and the spirit of austerity, inspiring them the capacity to say no to the physical system. Physical system demands from you. You say no to it. That's called tapas in this context. That shows you are free. You are not mere matter. Matter is your servant, not you the servant of matter. Therefore he says, and that tapas in all people who perform tapas. Then in number 10 sloka, he says, Bijam mam sababhutanam vidhi partha sanatanam, and eternal seed in all the beings of the world. That seed for which a plant comes, a seed from which the whole universe has come, and that seed, Bijam mam sababhutanam vidhi partha sanatanam, eternal seed, ever there. New plants come, new universes come, and they die away. Again universes come. That eternal seed is eternal Brahman, ever pure, ever free, ever existing, immortal. That's the nature of that ultimate reality. Then, buddhir buddhimatamasmi, and the buddhi among those who have buddhi. Suppose a man has special intelligence. That buddhi comes from the divine. Buddhir buddhimatamasmi, tejas tejasvinamaham. Those who are powerful, full of energy, which can make the world move by their own strength. That tejas is my own presence there. Tejo tejasvinamaham. They have seen people who can move the world by their great life and work. Shankaracharya, in 32 years, he just transformed this country's intellectual and spiritual life. That tejas, and that tejas present in him. Later on in the 10th chapter he will say, wherever you find extraordinary energy, uplifting humanity, know my presence is there. In any department of life, not only religion, but science, politics, everywhere, wherever you find that extraordinary energy manifesting and uplifting humanity, I am there, he will say later on. So that a divinizing of the world takes place through this attitude. God is not just far away, he is here itself. The tiny little baby, that spark of the life that is there, the divine presence is there. Then, balam balabatamasmi, I am the strength in those who have strength. But with this qualification, kama raga vivarjitam, free from sensory craving and attachment. That strength that makes for good to the people, that makes people elevated, and that strength in all people. Balam balavatāmasmi, kama raga vivarjitam. Then next statement is also very remarkable. Dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshabha. Kama, what you call sensory craving. That is kama. Animals have it, men have it, all have it. That kama usually condemned in all ascetic type of books, but not in Vedanta, not in Sanatana Dharma. Kama has been given a high place, he says here. And in this case, Krishna says, I am that kama in all beings, which is unopposed to dharma. Dharma aviruddho bhuteshu kamosmi. A kama which doesn't destroy other people's welfare. That kama am I. Kamosmi bharatarshabha. Therefore, kama has been given very high status. But that must be a disciplined kama of this type, doesn't destroy other people's enjoyment of the good things of the world. That kama is myself. Dharma aviruddho, unopposed to dharma. That kind of kama. Then, ye chaiva sattvika bhava, rajasa tamasaschaye, matta evedi tan vidhi, natvaham teshu te mayi. This is a very remarkable verse where Krishna says, whatever states pertaining to sattva, rajas and tamas, sattvika bhava, rajasa tamasaschaye, matta evedi tan vidhi, every one of them has come from me only. Even the tamasic state comes from me only. That one from which the many have come. And therefore, even tamas has come from the divine itself. Sattva, rajas, tamas. When we are sleepy, for example, and yawning, tamas you can see plenty there. We don't condemn it. It is part of our life. It also comes from the divine. So that rajas, tamas I am not in them. I am not imprisoned in them, though they have come from me. They are in me, but I am not in them. This is the language God projects the universe. The universe has many varieties, and good and bad, everything is there in the universe. And so God is in the universe. The universe is also in God, but God is not in the universe caught up there. He is our priest. He is our priest. He cannot be caught up in anything, just like space cannot be caught up in a pot or in a building. It comes out of all this. He is our priest. Similarly, He is the divine. Natvaham teshu te mayi, He says. But they are in me. The next sloka begins the dealing with subject of Maya, that these three gunas constitute Maya, which is the cause of the manifestation of the one as the many. Tribhat guna mayaye bhavaye tebhis sarvamidam jagat mohitam nabhijanati mam ebhya param avyayam. This whole universe is constituted of the three gunas. Tribhat guna mayaye sattva rajas and tamas. Sarvamidam jagat, he says. Mohitam nabhijanati. The people in the world are deluded by these three gunas, and therefore they don't see me existing in the gunas as the very soul of all this. They are carried away by the gunas. They are not able to see me who is within the gunas, which is ever free there. Mohitam, because they are deluded. Nabhijanati. Mam epya param. I am superior to all this, above all this, and avyayam, imperishable, is my nature. That one infinite reality has become this universe. How? Through these three gunas. Some of these statements in Sankhya philosophy, some of them look so like what modern cosmology is telling us today, that when these three gunas are in a uniform state, absolutely undisturbed, that is a stage where the world doesn't exist separately. Then these three gunas, a little disturbance takes place in this. It becomes diverse. From that time, manifestation begins. Then permutation, combination of the three gunas, the whole universe comes out of that. This conceals the infinite consciousness behind the three gunas. So all over the universe, that consciousness is there. But this medium of the three gunas hides that reality. So mohitam na vijanati mam epya param avyayam. I am beyond all this. I am the avyaya. Vyaya means expenditure. Avyaya means no expenditure. Means ever the same. That's my true nature. Having said this, then comes a tremendous statement which is often quoted by spiritual teachers in India all these centuries. That is verse 14. Devi Kesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya Mamevaye Prabhadyante Maya Metam Karantite. This Maya, constituted of the three gunas, says Devi Kesha. It is divine Maya, belonging to the Lord Himself. Devi Kesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratya. Difficult to cross, difficult to overcome. Once you are caught in Maya, very difficult to escape from this Maya. That's the nature of Maya. That is a remarkable statement in the Bhakti religion, the Jnana religion of India. How the one became the many, it will ask through Maya. One has not become, and yet it is there. In all these ways you find it. But even now, it is all that one only. Behind all this diversity, that one is still there. So we discovered this wonderful idea of Maya. Maya means, as Vivekananda said in the Jnana Yoga lectures in England, Maya is not a theory. Maya is a simple statement of fact. What we are, what we see around us. We feel we are free, but we cannot express that freedom. This Maya comes in between. Everywhere you will see Maya working. The whole manifested universe is in Maya. Therefore, this is the divine Shakti. They call it Shakti of Brahman. Brahman and Shakti. And this Maya has two dimensions. In Ramakrishna's teachings, this has been so beautifully explained with great help to our practical life. Everything is in Maya, but Maya has two dimensions. One is called Avidya Maya, the other is called Vidya Maya. Ignorance Maya, knowledge Maya. The first Maya drags us down towards the sensory level and even further down. That's called Avidya Maya. All the evils you find in society, all crime, all corruption, they all come from the predominance of Avidya Maya. As soon as Vidya Maya steps in, you become pure, you become moral, you become ethical, you become concerned with others. High character comes. That's called Vidya Maya. So that both are within Maya. The good life and the bad life, both are in Maya. But it is man's responsibility to cultivate Vidya Maya within himself in place of Avidya Maya. You have the freedom. Animals have no freedom. Every man has that freedom. If you don't exercise that freedom to change Avidya Maya to Vidya Maya, your life will be a failure. You become caught up in this net of Maya. He says here, the very divine, Daivi Hesha Gunamayi, is the divine Shakti. Mama Maya, my Maya, Suratyaya, difficult to cross, difficult to overcome, but you can overcome. How? Mahamevaye Prabhadyante, Maya Metam Tarantite. Those who take refuge in me only, who is the power behind Maya, whose Maya is this? Such people are able to overcome this tyranny of Maya. Take refuge in the Lord, whose Maya the world is. Then you can become free. So Maya and what lies above Maya, the Mayavi. Ramakrishna says very beautifully, when you see a magic, we had magic here several times, when you see a magic, you are fascinated. You think it is all real, absolutely real, and you are deluded by the Maya. But look at the magician, watch him, then you will find this Maya is all Maya only, it's all magic, not real. So when you concentrate on the magic, you are caught. When you concentrate on the magician, you are never caught at all. That's how Mamevaye Prapadyante, Maya Metam Tarantite. This Maya you are able to cross over by the thought to that to whom belongs Maya. That is myself, Krishna is saying there. In all our Puranas you will find this wonderful idea of Maya, from which people are deluded, and some people get rid of this Maya through bhakti, through jnana, through developing this spiritual awareness of the divine. So, this is a truth about man. Why I did this evil? Why I do that good? Maya is working in me. One to pull me down, one to push me up. Both are Maya here. When you go and kill somebody, that is Maya. When you go and save somebody, that's also Maya. But that is a divine Maya, what we call Vidya Maya, knowledge Maya. The other is Avidya Maya, that pulls you down. So in this way, man's choice is there to make his heart the playground of either Avidya Maya or Vidya Maya. Let everybody realize this truth, that it depends upon me, on nobody else. I want to convert my heart into a place of Vidya Maya, that you can do it. Or You are satisfied with the avidya maya. You continue there. In this way, man has the freedom to overcome this maya. The whole universe has not that freedom. The sun cannot move from this orbit. It is absolutely fixed there. Everything in the world is fixed, deterministic, as we say. But in man alone is that freedom to escape from maya, to realize what is beyond maya. That freedom, when you start exercising, you see a new aspect of maya, uplifting aspect of maya, more luminous, more of the sattvic element. Tamas pulls you down. Rajas also keeps you more or less down. But when sattva comes to dominance, you are able to see clearly, you slowly become free. Sattva also is maya, but it is a maya which helps you to get rid of maya. Ramakrishna tells, when a thorn enters your foot, you take another thorn, remove it, and throw both the thorns away. So if the maya has got you, then what do? You take one aspect of the maya, sattva, and remove this evil, and throw sattva also away. Sattva also must be given up. It is relativity. It is not the highest. That's why beyond the guna is the divine. Sattva is only the highest part of this maya reality. So there are many stories told in our Puranas about this sattva, how it can help us to overcome this maya by cultivating the sattva in our mind. And Rajas keeps you intensely active and try to the world. Tamas makes you even wicked and evil as well. So wherever the dominance of tamas, you will find such a low level of life. Then comes Rajas, activity, energy, but very often selfish, self-centered, etc. Then a little sattva enters, high character, concern for others. Energy is still there, but purified energy. Energy which is working for the good of all. That's called sattvic energy. In this way, we can manipulate the energies of maya within ourselves. When we do so, we start evolving. At one time, we get the capacity to go beyond all maya and realize that divine which is behind all this maya. That is freedom. Absolute freedom for man. But maya is difficult to cross, as he said. Gunamayi mama maya duratyaya. Difficult to cross. There are so many stories told about this maya and its power to delude man. And some of them are so fascinating from this point of view. Ramakrishna tells the story. Narada, the great sage, ever free, ever pure, almost like a messenger of God. That was Narada. But Narada told Krishna one day, I want to see what is your maya. I want to experience it a little. He asked Krishna. Krishna said, don't try it. It's very dangerous. Once you try to experience, you will be caught in it. It's a very difficult thing. Try it with the language here. Mama maya duratyaya. But Narada was really very anxious. They were both walking in the field. At that time, when he pressed Krishna for his experience, Krishna said, okay, you can have a little experience of maya, he said. Then Krishna said, Narada, I am very thirsty. I want a glass of water. Go to neighboring village and get a glass of water. Narada goes to the village, goes to a particular house. The young daughter of that family brings a glass of water to Narada. Narada looks at her, suddenly became fascinated by her. Then he speaks to the father. Can I marry this girl? Of course, we shall arrange a marriage for you. And so Narada marries that girl. Sets up a family. Children are born. After some time, a flood came. One by one, children were carried away, house was carried away, and the last one, his wife, with great difficulty was holding, she was also carried away. Narada was in great distress, with great sorrow. Just then, somebody tapped on his back. Narada, where is my water? What? Water? Half an hour I am waiting, Krishna said. Half an hour. The whole life has passed here. Narada, I am enough. No more I want to see your Maya. Like that you told. Now if Narada can come into such a difficulty, how true is the statement, Duratyaya, don't invite Maya. Try to overcome it, try to go beyond it. That is real heroic endeavor. But that is so far as Narada is concerned. But the Lord himself came into trouble. That is another story of Sri Ramakrishna. When Vishnu incarnated as the bow to lift the earth, he finished his work, earth was lifted, but he continued to be in the bow's body. He found it very pleasant. He had a bow wife, he had children, and very fine, so he remained in that bow's body. Then the gods became frightened. What has happened to Vishnu? He is no more in Vaikuntha. So they sent Shiva, please remove this delusion from him, let him give up his body and come. So Shiva told him, Vishnu, your work is over. Throw this body away and come. No, I am quite okay. And with a grunt, he went to the God's side. I am very happy here. What is matter? Absolutely pleasant. There is no problem. Then Shiva said, very serious matter. He took on the body of a pig or a boar, and he is attached to it, and very pleasant. So how can you do? This story, when I read, I went to Darjeeling later on. I saw birds and other animals keeping a sort of a shop there. I found a huge pig there, lying very happily, snoring. Children are drinking, 7 or 8 children drinking the milk of the mother, and she was very happy and very blissful. That I could see. What he said is correct. In that body also there is infinite joy, infinite pleasure. So Shiva found Vishnu is really in difficulty now. So what he did, he took his trident and pierced through that body. As soon as the body was broken, Vishnu came out laughing. How did I got caught up in this? I didn't know that. I was so really caught up in this body, then came back to his own Vaikuntha. Now, these stories only tell us this fact, that Maya is a reality of experience. It is very difficult to get rid of it, but by effort and struggle, we can overcome avidya Maya by vidya Maya, and vidya Maya will overcome itself. It will go beyond Maya. That is a possibility for all people. If that is so, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, we have to rise from Tamas to Rajas, Rajas to Sattva, then beyond Sattva also. Sattva also is to be overcome. To illustrate that, Sri Ramakrishna tells another beautiful parable. A person was going through the forest. Suddenly, a number of thieves, robbers came and tied him hand and foot, robbed him, and then one of the robbers said, why leave him? We shall kill him and go away. That's called Tamas. The 3 robbers are Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Tamas said this, let us finish with him. Then the other 2 robbers said, why kill him? We have robbed him already. Let us tie hand and foot and leave him and go away. So Rajas said like this. And so all of them went away, leaving him in that condition. After some time, the 3rd robber, Sattva, came to him. So sorry, he has suffered so much. He removed all his bandages and released him and showed him, come, let us go to your house, I will show you. He took him towards his town and showed him, there is your house, you can go, you will be free. Then this man said, you have been so kind to me. Please come, I want to entertain you in my house. He said, I can't come. I am also under police surveillance. I am also a thief. I can't come, but I can show you the way to your house. And therefore, Sattva went away, showing him the goal. That's what Sri Ramakrishna said. Tamas does lot of harm. Rajas also does lot of harm. Sattva releases you from these bondages, but Sattva cannot take you to God. He can only point out where is the highest reality. You go yourself. So go beyond the gunas. So in the Gita we read earlier that Nistrayagunyo bhava Arjuna. Arjuna, go beyond the three gunas. That's very high state of mind, but it is good to proceed in that direction. So this subject of Maya comes again and again in our literature, not only with path of jnana, but also in the path of bhakti. In the Bhagavatam you will find Parasya Maya, that supreme divine, whose Maya, playing here. People do this, people do that, all the play of Maya in you and me. That is a fact. But as I said again and again, we are not entirely subject to this Maya. We can free ourselves from it. We have the freedom. Only we don't exercise it. We don't struggle. Because heart can become a playground of the Vidya Maya instead of Avidya Maya. Ramakrishna wants people to understand this truth and set about freeing themselves from that negative Maya, so that the positive Maya will take them beyond this Maya itself. This is our own responsibility and our privilege. No animal can do it. Only man can do it. So that is the importance of this slogan. Daivi Kesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duraksaya Mamavaye Prabhadyante Maya Medam Tarantite. Those who take refuge in me, they go beyond all this Maya. They become free. That is in bhakti, the spirit of resignation to God, surrender to God. What a wonderful idea. And many have become free through that type of bhakti experience. Christian devotees, Sufi devotees, Buddhist, Hindu, all. In every religion you will find those who became free from Maya by their own efforts, finally confirmed by the divine grace that comes upon the individual at a particular moment of his or her life. So this is the important sloka 14 of chapter 7. Then, Namam dushkritino mudhaha prapadyante naradhamaha mayaya apahata jnana asuram bhavam ashritaha. Why people do not overcome this Maya? He is answering, Dushkritino, those who do evil deeds, they are so much deep in Maya, they can't even think about anything better. Such people do not come to me. Name Dushkritino Mudha, they Prapadyante, Naradhama, they are the worst among men, full of evil, always planning new evil, new evil, new evil. Such people do not come to me. He says, Maya abhata jnana. Their understanding has been completely carried away by the power of Maya. Maya abhata jnana. Then, asuram bhavam ashrita. They have developed asura qualities of wickedness, evil, all these are called asura qualities. In a later chapter, he will give us a list of asuri qualities. Asuri sampat, Devi sampat, Asuri sampat. What a beautiful, what he calls classification. There are people who have so many Devi sampat in them. Compassion, love, concern for others, ever trying to help. That's called Devi sampat. The other is Asuri sampat, trying to trouble people, exploit them, destroy them. That's called Asuri sampat. Both are there. So these people belong to that Asuri class, Asura. Namam dushkritino mudhaha. They are fools. They think they are intelligent, actually they are fools. They are subject to this blinding effect of Maya. Naradhama, the worst among human beings. Maya apahata jnana. All their jnana is carried away by the power of Maya. Asuram bhavam ashrita. Developing asura nature in themselves, that is one quality, one type. Then Krishna speaks in the next verse 16. 4 types of people worship me. This particular type will not worship me. They don't want me at all. They are satisfied with that Maya in which they are. They are happy in it, and that it goes on. Asuri Sampat. But rest of humanity, they belong to four categories. This is also a fine classification in the Gita. Chaturvidha bhajante ma jana sukritin arjuna arto jijnasu artharthi jnani cha bhardarshadha. Chaturvidha, four types of people worship me. Bhajante ma jana sukritino arjuna. The other is dushkrita, previous sloka. Those who are evil, those who are wicked, they don't care for worshipping God or anything. But here, these are sukritina, those who want to do good. Such people, they worship me. Among them, there is a classification. Who are they? Arto, Jijnasu, Artharthi, Jnani, Bhargavshata. Four types. One is Artha. Whenever we are in trouble, in difficulty, we think of God. And even that is good. At least the mind goes to something higher, beyond this Maya. So when you are Arti, Arti is the word for suffering, trouble, tension, all this called Arti. Then we think of God. That's one way of thinking of God. One motivation for thinking of God. Artho. Second is Jijnasu, seeker of knowledge. I want to know. A seeker also is a devotee. Seeker of knowledge is a devotee of the divine. So, Artho Jijnasu, Artharthi, I am in search of money. I want money. He also thinks of God. So they are all worldly categories. But doesn't matter. They are slowly connecting themselves to the power of Maya, Avidya Maya, coming to Vidya Maya slowly. So this little movement must be encouraged. At least he thinks of God. At least he is turning his mind towards him. So it's only to make money, it doesn't matter. Artho Jijnasu Artharthi. It only shows highly generous character of the teaching that is given here. Not simply one type of people. Even ordinary people, they are also fine. They are also my devotees. Because they call on me, they think of me. Even though they are in trouble, at that time they think of me. In that way, he says, Chaturvidha bhajante ma jana sukritino dushkritina sukritina. Dushkritina will never think of the divine. He doesn't care at all. He is deep in Maya. But this one, sukritina arjuna, artho jijnasu artharthi jnani cha bhardarshata. The last is jnani, a wonderful man who loves God for love's sake. He knows fully the nature of the divine. His whole heart is given to the divine. That's called jnani. Here jnani can include also bhakta. The highest bhakti, the highest jnana are the same, perfectly free from the clutches of Maya. Therefore, the word jnana is used here not in the usual technical sense, but in general sense. Jnani cha bhardarshadha. Remember, these four who are my bhaktas, my devotees, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 11th book, there is one famous slogan. How does a man become my devotee? There, by chance, a very worldly person heard a talk about the divine. A little interest grew at that time. He is still very attached to the world, attached to power or money, etc. But a little love of God entered into the mind. He has not the spirit of renunciation, but he is not over-attached also to the world. Such a person, he is a candidate for the path of bhakti. Yadrchaya matkatadavo yatashraddhaya kuman nadarvinno nadirikto bhakti yogosya siddhidaha. Bhakti yoga will leading to the highest perfection if it is in this particular way. How? Yadrchaya matkatadavo yatashraddha. By chance, going on the road, he heard there is a talk going on, or a bhajan going on. He just entered without any particular objective. Something roused in his mind, a little spiritual awakening. His the feeling. That man has started his path, the path of bhakti. So such a person who is still full of attachment, very little renunciation, but still he has entered that path of bhakti which will take him finally to realization. Even yadachaya, that word yadachaya is very important. Sometimes unplanned way you get spiritual inspiration. So many stories are there how whole life is changed by some chance experience. We have the story of the father of Rabindranath Tagore. Rabindranath Tagore, was a good scholar, a very rich Zamindar. He was sitting, he is telling in his autobiography, he was sitting in, I think, gardening in auto, and there enjoying evening quiet. A wind brought a small piece of paper to him. He read it. That was his inspiration. His whole life changed. Ichavasyam idam sarvam yatkinjat jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjitha manrithat kastasit dhanam. Everything is filled with the divine. That is the teaching that is given there. This inspired him to conduct further studies, and that Brahma Samaj movement, of which he was the leader at the time, after the death of Raja Ram Mohan Roy, whom he helped to found it, but gave it that Vedic background. That is the story of Rabindranath Tagore, Rabindranath Tagore's father. There are any number of instances of such yadachaya matkatado. By chance, you hear story about the divine, talk about the divine, something stirs in your mind. You never expected it, you never sought it, it came. That puts you on the road of bhakti. With that bhakti, you will go to the highest level of spiritual development. So Krishna said that in the 11th kantha of Srimad Bhagavad, here says this, among all these four categories, Artha, Jnanasu, Artharthi, they are all good. But the Jnani is something special. He has understood the divine. He loves God in spirit and in truth. That is why that is the highest. So in the next sloka, he is giving his opinion about the three and about the fourth. He says, Tesham Udara Sarva Eva Ite Vede. All of them are Udara, as coming later. Tesham Jnani Nitya Yukta. Among all of them, Jnani is Nitya Yukta, constantly a yogi. Not 5 minutes yogi, then leave it up, just like an artha. Arthas are generally religiously inclined, and they are in trouble. When the trouble is over, no more of God thinking. That's called artha type, not Nitya Yukta. We have a saying in the Malayalam language. When you walk over a bridge, but a wooden plank is put over a river, you walk over it, very shaky. So when you start walking, you repeat Narayana, 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 so that you may be protected. As soon as you cross the last plank, Kurayana, you will say, I don't care now, you will say. I have done my work, I have nothing to worry. Even there, Krishna is going to be very generous. Even he is good, because he also thought of the higher, beyond Maya. He discovered this. So we say in Kannada also, Sankada Dantre Rangatramana. Whenever there is Sankada, we think of Rangatramana. Then we forget also. So even this is accepted, but we should not stop there. Progress is there, little by little, little by little. That is what is emphasized in the Gita. So he says here, Tesham Jnani Nitya Yukta. Among all this, Jnani is Nitya Yukta, eternally, constantly a yogi. He is immersed in the yoga. He is immersed in the divine, Nitya Yukta. Ega Bhakta Bhakti, one-pointed devotion. Ekanta Bhakti, Ega Bhakti. These are all wonderful words. In the science of Bhakti, Narada Bhakti Sutra says, Bhakta Ekantino Mukhyaha. Among all bhaktas, the Ekanta Bhakta are supreme, one-pointed devotion, just like the compass needle doesn't show always it turns to north. You turn it this side, again it turns to north. Looking to the north always, that is nature. So Ekanta Bhakti is that, constantly thinking of the divine, always surrendering to the divine. Tesham jnani nityayukta eka bhakti vishishyate, most excellent among all the four. Priyohit jnanino atyartham. To me, jnani is very dear. Priyohit jnanino atyartham, he says, aham, kacha namapriya. He is also very dear to me. I love him very much, he also loves me very much. That is why we have no separation between us. I am one with the divine, one with the Bhakta, Bhakta is one with me. That's the language. Priyohit jnanino atyartham aham. I am very dear to the jnani. Tata priyaha mama. He is also very dear to me, both ways, that way. So that's the nature of the highest bhakti or the highest jnana. A man like Prahlada, for example, never wanted anything from the divine. Pure love, love for love's sake. That is why the Lord was so pleased with that little child of 5 years old. When the Hiranyakashipu was killed, everybody was frightened because he has come in the form of a Narasimha, man-lion form, very fierce form. So the whole world is frightened. The only person who was absolutely calm was this boy, Prahlada, because his heart is free from all evil, of all maya, absolutely pure. So he was always fine. And so Narasimha wanted to give a boon to Prahlada, because this father troubled his boy very much. So father is killed. Now he says, Prahlada, ask a boon from me. I am pleased with you. Prahlada Bhadra Bhadram Te Pritoham Te Asurottama. O Prahlada, may good betide you, may good betide you. I have been very pleased with you. Then he says, ask any boon from me. I'll be happy to give you. And this boy says, I am not a businessman to trade in love and bhakti. My bhakti is one-pointed. I don't ask anything in return. So he uses the word, I am not a vanik. Vanik means a baniya. I am not a baniya in spiritual life. I don't want give and take business. I just give. My heart is full of love. I love you. That is why Prahlada dominates the bhakti world of India. All over the country, you'll find Prahlada is an ideal devotee, ever pure, ever free, and love for love's sake. That is the story of Prahlada. So here, Priyohit jnanino atyartham aham kacha namapriyaha. He is also dear to me, I am also dear to him. That's the language he has used regarding the fourth category, the jnani. But the next sloka shows that generosity of heart of Krishna. Udara sarva eva ite jnani tvatmaiva me matam astitas sahiyuktatma mameva anuttamam gatim. All these four are udara, noble-minded. Udarata is noble-mindedness. The wonderful word in Sanskrit, udara, very noble-minded. Udara charitanam tu vasudhaiva kudumbakam. To the noble-minded, the whole world is one family. Ayam nija paroveti ganana lekuchetasam. So one is called lekuchetas, small-minded, petty-minded. The petty-minded person says, this is mine, that is yours. Whereas the udara-minded person says, the whole world is mine. I belong to the world, it is one family. The famous slogan in Sanskrit, Ayam nija paroveti ganana lekuchetasam udara charitanam tu vasudhaiva kudumbakam. The whole Vasudha, the earth, is a kudumba, is a family. This is an ancient idea, repeated again and again in our literature, from the Vedas up to our Sri Ramakrishna's time. Vasudhaiva kudumbakam. Yasya says, bhavati ekanidam. Yasya vishwam bhavati ekanidam. That's the Vedas. Where the whole world becomes one nest, like a bird's nest, we are all living there. Yatra Vishwam Bhavati Ekanidam. Similarly, is Kudumbakam, Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam. There are one family that more stand at mind and heart, then this pettiness will go. The foreigner, this is nature, this is that, barbarian, etc., etc. That is one of the strands of thought coming from very ancient times up to our own time in Sri Ramakrishna. Here Krishna says, all these four devotees are noble-minded, Udara. Though the first one is selfish, he wants God only to get something for him. He uses God. He doesn't know how to love him. Even if God says, even then, I respect you, I love you. That's a wonderful idea. Udara sarvaevaide. But jnanidu atmaivame matam. The jnani is concerned, he is my very self. That's my opinion. Jnani is my very self. Astita sahi yuktatma mameva anuttamam gatim. He says, he is steadfast. He is established in me alone as the supreme goal. That is the status of the jnani or the pure bhakta. And repeat once again what Ramakrishna said, pure bhakti, pure jnana are one and the same. All differences vanish there. The Lord alone is. That's the nature of highest jnana and bhakti. So this is the wonderful idea. The next sloka gives you a wonderful thought. How do you get this high state? You have to work for it in many lives. Struggle. Eventually you will get that state. It doesn't come straight away. There's no magic to get that state. So I just read the next sloka, which introduces us to this idea. Build up spiritual life little by little. What a beautiful thing it is. From boyhood or girlhood at the age of 10 and 12, you try to become spiritual little by little. Like those insects, those particular beings of the sea, building up a whole island, coral islands. From the bottom of the sea up to the top, these coral creatures, they build up that island, and finally it becomes like a small island there. Similarly, we have to build it up. That is shloka, that is 18, which we shall just recite and translate and deal with it next Sunday when we meet here. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma tuturlabha. After repeated birth, struggling to perfect oneself, in the final life, man realizes the supreme truth. Everything is Vasudeva. God is there, everything. Vasudeva Sarvamiti. But such a devotee is very rare. So that is the language here. The Mahatma is a Mahatma. Tuturlabha. Very difficult to come across. Very high state of perfection. But everywhere there has been somebody or the other who achieved this perfection. Just like many try to climb Mount Everest, only a few have succeeded so far. Similarly, the Mount Everest of experience, seeing the Lord in everything, inside, outside. So that is a sloka we shall take up next Sunday when we meet here. We shall spend a minute in silent service.